So this is from Football Insights, and it's really interesting. College wide receivers with 2.5 plus yards per route run, less than 50% of the targets over the middle from the last 2 drafts, 30-plus games. It's a pretty good list to be on for Jamari Thrash. Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Ndunzie, and Javon Baker, and the Browns pick Jamari Thrash. So that's a pretty good list to be on if you're Jamari Thrash.
Well, I mean, you certainly look at that, and I even think Jamari Thrash himself would be like, "Wow, all right, well, that's some nice company." But he it was for the last 2 years, it was over 120 receptions. It was 2,000 yards. I think it was like 6.5 touchdowns per season. Went to the Senior Bowl, showed well. But the thing I like also is in the running after the catch ability with Andrew Berry mentioned, he gets the ball and it's one gear. And it's not like he's got to find an angle and then pick it up a notch. Certainly something that should be, the case when you're talking about a player who's, maybe not as big as some of the 6'3" wide receivers, but he is just one gear and go. And that's really, really, really impressive. And the thing I do like is he comes in here with no pressure. We always talk about the one Browns drafted wide receiver who actually did pretty well and probably exceeded the expectations during the Andrew Berry regime was Donovan Peoples-Jones, because he came in as a 6th-round pick. There wasn't a lot on the plate. Nobody was just really it was just a gradual progression, and a kid slowly started to find his way, and then turned out to be a pretty good producer for them. This is the same thing for Thrash. There's not much pressure on him. Any good he does early is obviously going to be a positive, and then is maybe just going to kind of set the stage for him to maybe get more meaningful time. But it was a nice situation. Granted, it was, everybody, it was such a great wide receiver class. But you know what? We're going to start doing this again in November because we do it every year. We fall in love with the wide receiver class because these kids are catching 100 passes a season in high school. It is just a more technically advanced position than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. These kids are just so much further along now at the wide receiver position than I have ever seen. And we'll find a whole new bunch to fall in love with next year.